All right. Welcome to Vlog Thursday. Wow, what number was this again? I just got distracted very easily. Number 233. And boy, there's a lot to talk about. And let me make sure my phone's off as well. There is, let me look here. I don't even know where to start because there's so many things. I did on these topics of cybersecurity, and it's hard because I was looking through my YouTube and going, okay, here's a row of videos that are all done on cybersecurity, and it seems like I get stuck on it for a little while. I actually really enjoy doing things that feel more creative than reporting on, and I'm trying to give actionable intelligence, not just report on, but also talk about, implementations, how to secure things, but between Microsoft and Kaseya, they've had a busy July here for cybersecurity issues. And oh man, it's such a big mess. What are you going to do? Let's see what else we got here. I'm following up on all the comments. All right, we are live. Cool. Seeing how many people are here and all that fun stuff. The Kaseya hack. I did a video about it, then another video, and then more information came out, and that one's a pretty big mess. It's going to take a while to clean up, and I can't share this publicly, but one of my friends did let me know essentially that the sales vultures are out there and they're downplaying everything, of course. So it took them no time at all to get that engine in gear, which, yeah. So it's, I think the CEO, I get it that he's trying to get ahead of it. I'm not trying to throw him in a bus for it or anything like that. I mean, you want to be ahead of it. You want to admit it happened, but then it's just human nature. Well, someone else had a bigger breach than us, things like that is what he said. And it's just, yeah. They won't be back up till Sunday. I had heard the same thing in a couple different forum posts. I'm not a Kaseya user, so I didn't see that specific notification. I don't know if it's public or not, but I heard a couple of people say it looks like it won't be until Sunday before they get systems up and running. Now, a little bit of what happened there, though, is that's just because there's so much code that has to be refactored, and this is a big undertaking when you have really old code, and you also want it done right the first time. You don't want to be in the news because you didn't do it. So this is one of those, it's better to err on caution and not release it until it's fixed and been tested and tested again, versus, releasing it and saying, we fixed that one flaw. And the reality is, when you look at the latest posts out there right now, especially from the Dutch organization, it's really bad. I mean, there is a series of flaws. Matter of fact, there's still more CVEs coming out of this, which is huge. This is, obviously a really big deal. And right here, we'll go ahead and share the screen on this. The number of them is just insane. And that's why it's going to be hard to fix. Yeah, share. But when you look at this, I mean, this is a lot. And all these can't be dumped fully, but there's a credential leak, business logic fall. There is a SQL injection vulnerability, a remote code execution vulnerability. There is a cross-site scripting vulnerability, a 2FA bypass. So you can't even say if they would have had 2FA. No, it was a 2FA bypass, a local file inclusion vulnerability, and an XML external. So, I mean, there's a lot to patch, and part of the timeline is all broke down here on the disclosure. So, yeah, that's going to be just a lot to deal with on there. So thank you, Grayson, for the donation. And it says, how's it going? I received a message from pfsense regarding a crash after 252. However, pfsense reported said no PHP errors from BSD crash data found. There may be just some bugs you have laying around for that. I haven't seen that problem. I did before I updated. When I was using a release candidate, I would get that error, but there wouldn't be anything. That went away after I went from release candidate to full. So I don't know what's causing that in pfsense. I do have the pfsense share screen configured and loaded. This is the 252 release. So this is up and running right now. That probably makes it a little bit easier to read. I'm getting better at this whole StreamYards thing so I can share things on there. One unfortunate thing that, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's just FYI. If you held off on even going to any of the 2.5 series, I should say the 2.5.1, and we're waiting for 2.5.2, you do lose from 2.50 to 2.52 any WireGuard tunnels you have configured. The reason you lose them is because when they changed it from being natively built in to activated via a external package, there's not an easy way to get the configuration over because it's gone through a lot of changes in the way it was implemented. So sorry about that. And hopefully not too many people were building that many WireGuard tunnels. This is pretty new. So there's going to be some people who were, but it really wasn't a business use case for us. It was cool that it came, sad that it went away, happy that it came back. And that's where it's at. 252 does have the still experimental WireGuard package. It's still labeled as experimental, but nonetheless, it still is available, and testing and updates are coming as fast as possible on this. So that's actually pretty exciting. There's been a lot of work on the project. So yes, WireGuard is back. So here you go, where you can configure it. But yeah, there's not any way to instantly get your WireGuard settings out of it. But then again, as people state, the idea of WireGuard is that it's a simpler system, therefore you should be able to rebuild it relatively quickly. It's not as complicated as some of the other ones to set up. So I think they've done a nice job on this too, the way they tie everything together, the way they keep like even the settings here, so we can do a couple of those little things that people were talking about. Track system restore interval, the endpoint hostname resolve. That was actually kind of a cool little feature in there. Whether or not you want to hide the secrets, I know people like that. And then just from this standpoint here, when you go to edit these, being able to jump right to the interface assignments, interface groups when you're doing it. I'm going to be doing some more videos now that it's pretty much, I'm going to say interface stable, but gonna get some more back-end updates. So I'll probably be able to do a video on it because I don't think there's going to be any dramatic sweeping changes to the interface, so I can go do some videos on that. So that's going to be good. So yeah, there's been a lot of nice quality of life improvements. This is something I like when things are a web interface. So right here is the assignment to the WireGuard interface. Well, that means we can make it a link back over to the interfaces. It just saves you a click, but saves you a click means something because sometimes you get click fatigue after spending a long time clicking through things. So, hey, why not? It takes you right to where you need to be. And if you're not someone like myself who spends a lot of time doing firewall work, you end up with a looking for it too often, going, where was that other function at? Where was this at? So it's really nice that they added all that back in there. So that's definitely been some happy stuff here. Let me pull up the full list, though. So pfsense 2.52 changelog. 2.5.2. There we go. Damn it. It's in the wrong window. There we go. That's in the right window. So they have a lot of changes they went through. I was probably going to do a video on this. I'll do it fairly soon. I just have a lot of things been going on lately, actual tech work I've had to do and stuff like that. The list of things in here is pretty solid, though. Just a lot of little bug fixes that were in here. They're annoying, but it's good that they're getting to all of them. There's so many of them in there, but the really big one, and I got to find it on Reddit so I can share the link because I noted it on Reddit. I've been on Reddit a lot more lately. When there's security issues, I'm usually Huntress right up. Kaseya. Where'd it go? Oh, there we go. Show the Reddit post, but right here, one of the things is the port forward WAN function. So that's this function right here. And where did they put that note? That note would be right here. There we go. Port forward rules only function through the default gateway interface. Reply to does not work on multi-WAN. So this has been fixed. I know this was one of the issues that a lot of people had asked about, was this particular methodology of handling this for port forward replies on that. So that has been resolved. That is something, it was harder to fix than I think people realized. That's one of the reasons it took a long time to do, but definitely excited that they have that resolved. I know that's one of those things that it was a buggy issue for a while, and I know a lot of people were upset by that. And it was probably one of the biggest reasons that people were holding off on the updates that break that. So such is life. That is fixed now. That's the good news. Other than that, there's a lot of little minor things in here that updated OpenVPN, added kernel modules. One of them is fix uncoded variable. Wait, not that one. Where's it at? That's operating system. NAT traffic. This one right here. Make it a little bigger. This one caused, it says fixed harmless error when enabling traffic shaper. I think I know which error. I think it said it's flow set busy. It doesn't cause a problem, but it does cause a lot of people saying there's a problem. And is that what it says? Oh, yeah, it's a different one. Must not be the flow set busy one, or maybe I've seen it where it says something along the lines of flow set busy. So, hey, whatever, they fixed that. So that's good. Fixed ambiguous text in web interface. Yeah, that's an issue. What else was in here? Ignore WireGuard configurations under installed package. Yes, that's that part of that package change I was saying for your not being able to pull that in there. I get the flow set busy. I've seen it. It doesn't. I get it. I wish there were no errors in the log that didn't have actual meaning, but sometimes logs have errors that don't have actual meaning. And you report them, you hope someone fixes it. But one of the challenges is when those errors are of the category harmless, it ends up being just that. Like, because it's harmless, it's hard to get someone really on it because they're focusing on fixing the not harmless ones first. That's just the nature of it. Then the not harmless definitely get a lot more attention than the harmless. So definitely one of those things there. And I'm trying to figure out if I can share this. Can I drag this somewhere that I can share it? InfoSec Twitter has been extremely helpful over the last few days trying to sort these messes out, I guess. Let me find it and I'll just share the tweet, actually. So the Microsoft's inability to properly manage the printer update has been ridiculous. I don't even know what to say about it. Like, it's been a debacle. I just did a video on it, but it's been such a debacle. Where is it at? And also someone wanted to argue with me online because, it's the internet. And where is that one tweet that was really on point? There we go. Found it. I can do that. Yeah, right here. Except it doesn't work. This was the challenge. So Microsoft, yes, they did patch the printer nightmare, but they didn't. It didn't work. It's one of those things, like, it's a small detail. Probably your patch should work, but I'm very agitated overall with the entirety of Microsoft's bungling of this. And it's just like, from the release, they didn't really listen to the original threat researcher who sent it to them. And I get mistakes are made, and that's fine. But it's like one mistake led to another mistake, led to, here we are in July, still not having a fully patched system. And one of the things I had done was, let me find the other write-up I have for this, because I posted in that video, but it's worth mentioning here too. It really took other people, other security researchers putting together really more concise information. And I have this in that same printer video. This is your flowchart of whether or not you're safe from this printing nightmare. I'm like, if only Microsoft had a flowchart software they could have done this with to help let us know if we're vulnerable or not. And I make jokes at it, but this is a very serious thing on the other side of it, because this is what my company does. We have to secure our clients. How do we know if our clients are secure? If we just, and we don't do just blind patching. We don't just say, oh, we patched it. I try to keep us on top of current security issues. Current security issues absolutely include things like printer problems. And this is where Microsoft makes this a really big task for us, because it's not just patching the printer problem, it's patching it and trying to figure out if it worked right. And this is one of the reasons you kind of should have, if you work in IT, and it's hard to do, but it's part of the job, in my opinion, is having one foot in the security door, following people on InfoSec Twitter, understanding it, taking the time to go, what are the implications of the things going on around us? And especially, when we think we patched something, we have a lot of clients that are running terminal servers with remote users logging in. I don't want to make any assumption that just because we fixed a printer problem that it's fixed. So, you keep up with it and you read, and it's just, yeah, it's hard. I love the idea around not using printers. I mean, I'm thrilled with that. I'm just also living in the real world where we have clients that use printers. Sorry, long day. I know, a little yawning. I know it's only 4:30 my time. Yeah, patch, but at least check before tell clients it's sorted. Yes, that is a definite part of it. It's also, it's kind of the flow of information is hard. And one of the reasons I spend time, because I'm at least doing a lot of this research, that's why I also give back to the community by sharing it out in a video and letting people know that this is a broken aspect we're dealing with. Don't make the assumption you're safe and everything's happy, because it's not. There are still more things. So, do you have a site where I can test if Win 10 is still vulnerable? There's not a site you can test on. You just kind of have to load a Windows 10 and learn how the vulnerability works and then test it. So there's not really, I don't have a site for it. We do our own, well, we either do our own internal testing, or we have friends in the security community that will let us know things. By the way, all the links in that video, the video I just posted before this about the printing problems, I listed all the Twitter sources. By the way, those are all great people to follow on Twitter who talk about security. So it's kind of a strange thing that one of the best sources sometimes is directly from the InfoSec people, because they tweet a lot and they will tweet their findings to kind of gain support or understanding and communicate with other people. And as we jokingly call it, it's just InfoSec Twitter, which sometimes InfoSec Twitter alone will blow up over dumb things, but that's okay. That's part of it. So at least you can, if you watch my other video, the people in there have posted their proof of concept code. They even posted different Windows tools, and I think Mimikatz. You can find the printer nightmare Python code pretty easily. It's not that much of a secret, so it can be tested. It's not been automated. It's been automated to an extent, but not that much. So enough that you can, if you're good enough with it, you can do it. So yeah, keeping it unplugged will keep it secure, but yeah. Do you think a FOSS remote management software will become a thing? I don't know. I think it's really difficult. And the problem is, and I've already seen this. So Bitwarden is, I don't know how this, I don't know personally any money things about Bitwarden, but what I'm seeing is and this is kind of an annoying thing. Bitwarden builds Bitwarden and offers Docker images so you can self-host it. So they have, the whole build pipeline automated to make it easy for people to self-host the product. People don't want to pay license fees to Bitwarden because they're like, oh my God, it's open source, but they charge a license fee for giving me the build pipeline. So they forked it, and a small other group of maintainers takes from the code that comes upstream from Bitwarden and puts it into a separate product that doesn't have licenses attached to it, but still relies on the front end interface of like the plugins for Bitwarden to work because they made it, compatible because it's a fork. So here's where that problem comes in. At some point, if not enough people subscribe to a service like Bitwarden, you then end up with Bitwarden not being able to fund the development and pay the $100,000+ it takes to go through code reviews, of which they do regular code audits and reviews. So here's the challenge. If you want to build a product and make it fully open source, which I'm a big fan of, you really have to figure out how the support model is going to work around it, because if someone just forks it because you stuck a license in there, and the same thing with a remote tool, who's going to pay for all the engineering and security it takes to build and maintain that tool? That has to be answered. And if you don't have a business model put around it, like I've really looked at how do we do a good open source documentation system? And I keep running into some big problems I looked at how much, to really build this right, you could easily spend $300,000 or $400,000. Okay. And then to maintain it, I need a programmer, a security minded programmer. And now I need a person who makes about $150,000 or $200,000 a year. And then I need to hire annually someone else who does this. So now we're talking about, I want to do an open source documentation system with a high level of security and very helpful to someone shelling out several $100,000 a year just to maintain it, provided that we only maintain it with a couple people. So how do we build that? And it's not easy. It's not that it can't be done. It's just a tricky balance on there. So yes. So my goal is to do these things. I'm excited about these things. Like I think they can be done in some ways, but I also, people ask me why I'm using Bitwarden and not the free one. And I'm like, Bitwarden's so inexpensive at how little they want. I really like helping the project upstream. So I don't mind doing it. But then again, I'm seeing that other project gain a lot of popularity. And I shot down all the people saying, please do, give some attention to this other one. I'm like, why would I? It's a fork. Bitwarden's already open source. All their code is free. So for me to give attention to the competing project that doesn't donate back upstream seems like a non-idea. I don't know. So yeah, having enough people to donate back to the code, but when you write a public-facing, really secure product, that becomes very difficult to get enough people to support and fund back to it. So, yeah, it's not an easy system to do. It's not like there's some one methodology that makes this easy to get over to doing that. And I did bring that up in the video that's included for my, just quickly close out on the printer topic. Stop print to prevent escalation. That's actually what's shown in that flowchart. So Microsoft's fix patches an aspect of it, but doesn't flip the registry settings to getting it to the way it should be. So, but on the topic of, open source remote management tools, I think Zabbix is really cool. Zabbix is one of the ones that I think could be retrofitted to work with Windows better, because obviously Windows is what we really have to manage remotely. Linux is more suited to easier remote management and easier system changes. There is, though, an open source project out there for doing, I've not used it, but I'm aware of it, for doing open source remote management monitoring of Windows. So it's not that nothing exists for it, but to me, it's not ready for prime time. I don't know if I would want to trust my systems to it. I don't know that it's gone through that thorough of a code review. It's kind of a smaller project at this time. Does Bitwarden work as fluent as LastPass and work on Apple devices? I don't know. So I don't really know on that. I don't use Apple devices at all, so I can't really answer that question on there. I think it works just as good I think it works just as good as LastPass, at least when I was last using LastPass, which has now been over a year. So if LastPass works different today than it did a year ago, then I'm now forked myself away from it so far. I don't know. Good endpoint protection with AI installed. Don't rely on patches. Endpoint, it's all layers of security. It's not like just patches or just endpoint security. It's having everything in place that you could possibly have done within reason to put things in layered approach. I don't know. It just build it all in layers. Hopefully no one gets through every layer of your security. So you've got several ways to mitigate. You're practicing principles of least privilege. You've hardened the system, disabled things you didn't use, and away you go. You know, hopefully you don't get hit. Hopefully, if one of those tools get hit, the subsequent other tools will then be a layer of protection against the hit that came from one of the other tools, if it's a tool breach or if it's a, you know, rogue thing that happens on your system there. Let's see. What else do we have in here? Make sure I got all the questions answered. Has anyone tried VMware or Carbon Black? I'm not a big VMware user, so I haven't, but yeah, that's not really something. I don't know. I don't know if anyone here's used it. Maybe a few people. It's a popular product, so this is also, you know, we talked about this during the Huntress. I was on the Huntress panel, and there's some pushback some people have for this. But one of the things that's important when you talk about backups, I see, you know, and Ray here says, I see so many companies with bad security on their backup servers. Your backup server should be an independent server from your main server. People tie it in frequently with domain credentials, and they also will tie it in, you know, single sign-on or whatever they're doing. That's not the way to do it. It should be separate credentials, some way that is independent of the other systems, especially if you have domain admin credentials. That's right away when threat actors get in there, they go after domain admin credentials. Once they have that, and you've tied your domain admin credentials with no segmentation, someone popped the administrator account, and the administrator account has permission for the backup servers. So they can now destroy your backup servers, and then they can do ransomware or whatever the nefarious things threat actors will do when they're inside your network. But having the backup server as a separate login, separate authentication, I think is huge. Some people are like, but that means it's hard. I have to keep track of a different password just for that device. Or they don't, and they just use the same password. Even if they don't tie it to the domain, they use the same password, which of course negates your backups at the same time. Because backups don't just protect you from catastrophic failures of drives or users deleting files. It's supposed to also be a layer of protection and part of your business continuity plan in case a threat actor breaches your network. So, yes, it's very important for there. Not a good week in IT. Print nightmare, Kaseya, print nightmare, patch crap. Pretty much. That's the too long didn't watch. Yep. And the Kaseya stuff's going to get some mileage on there. And I say wake up call, and I know that gets thrown around a lot, but it does have other companies auditing. It does have other companies digging in deeper to look at things they got going on. It's just one of those times everyone should stop and reflect. All right, how can this happen? How can we prevent this? What do we have to do in the future? I've never used Datto as a backup solution. We're still using the Enable solution for backups. We've moved to that for all of our clients because keeping it an easy way to handle. But I know people who use Datto. They seem happy with it. So I have no reason to tell you not to use it. But myself, I have not used it. So yeah. Let's see. What are you using to print warranties? We use Invoice Ninja for all of our invoicing. Let's see. So happy we did not use Kaseya. What a flame that one is. I The problem with a lot of these companies is the older companies suffer from bringing forward all the technical debt of writing code the way they wrote it. Kaseya still runs on an IIS server, and obviously, if they're doing everything, I believe it's ASP and active server pages. I'm not exactly an expert on what they built it on. I just know it runs on IIS, but that's old school stuff, and that old school way of doing things was never really thought about from a security standpoint the way things built today are. This is an advantage newer companies have. So if they were born in the cloud using modern technologies, they have a distinct advantage by not having whatever old code base that this stuff was built on, because they know from the ground up, provided they follow the right procedures, but there's at least an opportunity to do so. When you have a product that's been around for many, many years, you have years and years ago when it was coded, and no one wants to really take the time to go back and refactor that old code to make it more modern, to really do what it takes. They need to, though. That's where a lot of this problem is. So yes, it's going to be very challenging. Started working for my first MSP. Thanks for a ton of your content. Appreciate all your stuff. That's awesome, Ryan. So you're now in the MSP space, feeling the pain with the rest of us of trying to keep all these systems patched and up to date. Kaseya has a long road where I'm getting the new some stuff back. So that one's a fuzzy one. Krebs did a hit piece, and I did tweet it. But it's a little bit more. It's actually the problem's different, as what I'm understanding from some security people that commented. They did not patch a vulnerability in their customer portal from 2015, but they were supposed to be not using that customer portal anymore, but it was still on. So not using it, but still got left on meant they didn't patch it because they moved somewhere else and weren't sending people there anymore, but it still existed and was still on. So someone forgot to shut it down. So they were supposed to shut it down instead of patch it, but neither happened. So I don't know which one's worse, but that's what I heard. It's a rumor. I don't have this absolutely confirmed yet. It's either unpatched and bad, or we were supposed to shut it down and bad. I'm not sure which bad it is. We'll just say it's bad. Read the Krebs article on that. I tweeted it out. The Krebs on security article related to, let's see, Krebs on security. It's going to be his latest one. See if Craig's updated this one at all. This is a maybe. Always a maybe. Maybe there's hope somewhere. Share screen. There we go. Kaseya left portal vulnerable from 2015 flaw from his software. So is there any updates in this? They were screenshotting the fact that it was still on and still vulnerable. President Account Management confirmed the customer portal was taken offline in response to a vulnerability report. Sanders said the portal had been retired in 2018 in favor of a more modern support and ticketing system, yet somehow the old site was still left available online. So, yep, that's in there. So that is, I don't remember if that was part of the first post or not, but that's the problem. Yes. That's just, what are you going to do? What is that other one called? So the question came up a couple times here, people saying, hey, is there a alternative that's open source? And it's Tactical RMM would be that. This is a demo for some remote management tools. To go out and manage. I thought this looked pretty cool. It reminds me a lot of the way SolarWinds, the one we actually use, works in terms of like the way it looks, I should say, now it works with the checks and things like that. I think it's coming a long way. I would love to see some development on this. It's a cool thing. I thought about reaching out to them at some point. They have agents and deployment options and bulk commands and script and patch management systems. I like it all in concept, but it looks cool. I don't know enough about the functionality behind it to say whether or not this is a, really viable replacement. You know what I mean? And let me drop the GitHub link in here for you. But it's a neat looking product. Like I said, I'm aware of it. I have it bookmarked. It's in my things I follow on GitHub. Say bug bounty. So this is also something right here. This has been by a few people here. Kaseya does not offer compensation for vulnerabilities that are disclosed. I don't know why so many companies are taking this posture. They really need to take a better security posture and participate in bug bounty programs. If you're looking around, you're just like, yeah, I don't say a bug bounty. Hold on. You're one of them. I can't find it. There was a good tweet kind of related to this, but yeah, they do not offer this. But if you go over to ConnectWise, after their breach, they kind of got into this. So ConnectWise had their own series of problems that they were not great about. And it took them getting slapped around in the news and I made a video about it and lots of cybersecurity people tweeting about it and, the communities getting unrest about the way they handled things. Now they offer a program. They're actually part of HackerOne. So they actually have, so hold on. And the exact link. There we go. They have a whole process and policy over here on HackerOne exactly how to do it. So there's a lot of speculation whether or not the Kaseya backdoor was used for other hits, but it's not that simple. The way that backdoor works, it would have been tricky. There's obviously some potential for that for other flaws, but it seems like this was completely not used for any type of espionage or deployments. But then again, it speculatively could be. Should I be worried about ConnectWise? I remove them for ticketing. No, ConnectWise actually has changed their security posture from we don't need to have bug bounty programs to I guess we should have bug bounty programs. That actually came from them mentioning legal things to Bishop Fox when they were called out on the floor for a few things. So ConnectWise has really swung around the other way. So in my opinion, through the incidents that occurred at ConnectWise, they came out on the other side of it much better and with a much better attitude against with security in general. So I'm hoping the same thing that would happen over in the world of the Kaseya world. Removing the self-hosted simple help does all core things we need, not as fancy as RMM like Synchro, but it comes back to debate about security over convenience. I just don't know. Is simple help the one that's open source? I'm trying to remember. Or was that the paid one? Okay, this is one of the paid ones. Yeah, I mean, whichever one works for you. The challenge with any of these companies is their security and making sure they go through regular audits and have regular updates, because obviously this is, I don't know what their security policy is. I know through learning with Bishop Fox took apart ConnectWise, and Bishop Fox is not your average company. They're pretty heavy hitters in the industry when it comes to application testing. And so Bishop Fox, they dove hard at ConnectWise. So, and so did a lot of other companies, by the way, too. And there we go. I did a video on this too, because this is back in January of 2020. Bishop Fox dove into problems they found with the system. And this is where they had a back and forth with ConnectWise that was less than pleasant. And so, yes, that's definitely, yes. It's one of those things like, and you want someone at the quality level doing it. This is going to be a challenge we run into in the compliance world that we're slowly creeping around to, where companies are required to do things, because this is, I posted a meme about this the other day, but it's a real problem of who does your pen testing. Do they just use some automated scan, or they actually do pen testing? Do they actually know how to do it? As we've seen this before, where companies have said they had a pen test, but did they have a pen test? What kind of pen test was it? Was it a really good pen test? Was it from an average person? Was it from someone? And I know, because like Xavier, who, he's been on my channel a couple times before. Xavier does pen testing. Xavier has gone after other people said they pen tested something and got into it and said, no, you guys didn't. You missed this. You missed this. It's not easy. It takes a whole lot of skill. So to say you pen test, you have to define kind of the skill level of the person pen testing. Are you just looking for open ports? Are you looking for vulnerabilities? Are you good enough to really dive into it and stack vulnerabilities together and chain them together to build a solid exploit? It's a little bit more involved to be able to do that. So this is where you kind of have to, it's how good is the pen test? There's nothing automated about pen tests. There's a lot of tools that help narrow down where to look and help automated scan and fuzz things to give you ideas. But yeah, pen tests and automated tools are exactly. It's a lot more than automated tooling. That is for sure. So, yes, I have upgraded to Papa West 2104. I wanted to use it for a little while before I did a video on it, but I'll do a video on it, because actually there's the new Cosmic desktop really makes me happy. I like it a lot. So Papa West is solid. It's been, the update took longer than expected, but works great. The menuing system is a little different, but I'm enjoying it. So can only trust the pen test when they got in. Well, yes, if they do get in, you have a high level of confidence that they're good at what they do. Yeah, pen testing is not just running a tool. This is one of those challenges. I mean, there's a lot of tools you can run that help narrow things down as a pen tester, but that's just to give you the lay of the land and get you started on it. Yes. So yes, any test is better than no test. So you got to start somewhere. Any test is better than no test. But, we think a lot about this, because obviously gaining access to any of the tools that we have is bad. So I'm pretty picky about what tools I'll choose, whether or not I'll choose a new one, because unless I feel it has a security history, or I know some of the people involved in a project, or it has gone through a code review or some application testing or penetration testing by a reputable firm or individual like Xavier, who I know does this and I can put some confidence in, it's hard to try a new product right now. It's just any product that has public exposure, where it would be accessible and has to manage machines at scale like we do here, has to go through a series of audits and steps before I can just choose it as a product. That's one of the reasons is when I kind of deny, like, I just don't have time to look at all the products. It's also hard for companies that are starting up to get a foothold in the market because they're going to get questioned, and rightfully so. Like, are you the one for this product? Because, what's your security record? Are you going to be able to handle security issues? Have you gone through a series of testing to make sure your product can withstand the internet and being exposed to it? So, so fun stuff. I also, so the pen testing right here, I've been doing with Bitwarden for a little while. This pen has held up really well. It's Tom's pen testing, right? I had to make a joke about it. It's sitting on my desk. This is my one pen I keep in my office. So Darknet Diaries did some one of the best deep dives on this topic. So it was the what were that company's name? The name eludes me, but it's a Darknet Diaries has a whole episode about the pen testers. Let me find it. Diaries, DRK, and that Diaries testers direct. So, yep, there we go. There's that, but let's get you the exact link for the Darknet Diaries. There we go. It's episode 59. Episode 59 of Darknet Diaries dives deeply and greatly into that right there. Darknet Diaries, episode 59. Great one, diving into all the events and because they get to interview the people that were involved in it. So you get the firsthand story of everything that went wrong and how it went wrong and how the small town politics played such a role in that particular thing. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I talked about pfSense earlier in the video, so you'll have to rewind it to watch for the pfSense talk. It's just a minor update, so there's not anything major with pfSense other than, yes, you should load it. Yes, it has WireGuard back in it. And there's lots of little bug fixes in there. Lots of little errata. But I do have to wind this down. I am so awesome seeing that there's a few hundred of you here, 223 of you here. So if you could hit the like button. And are there any final questions? I'll give it about 10 more minutes here, but any final questions that people wanted to ask about some of the topics I brought up here besides pfSense, because that one's a little bit, yeah. Yeah, it was just a great episode. I'm a big fan of Darknet Diaries. I stay caught up with that podcast in general, so definitely really enjoy it. So all the episodes of Darknet Diaries are good. If you're not listening to that podcast, why not? That one, if you're interested in security at all, it's just Jack Resider does such a great job on that. So, anything else for the good of the class before Tom wanders off because he's got more stuff to do and deal with all the noise that's on the other side of this wall? I know I have a handful of people at my office today trying to get everything sorted out. I have some emails I have to send. Let's see, anything else? And nope. Cool. Oh, I see you're asking someone else if they like. I like the Cosmic Desktop. I think some other people, if anyone else in here, if you're using Pop! OS, the Cosmic Desktop is really nice. It's definitely, I wouldn't say different, but it definitely a solid thing. Now, open source TeamViewer alternatives. The problem is security. So the systems out there that do some of this, I have no way to vet and often they don't either, solid ways to vet the security of those products. So be careful what you wish for, because I know there's a few different things out there. Years and years ago, well, man, it's been like 12 years ago, I used to use a custom written VNC solution that project's long defunct. But this is one of the problems is how secure are those solutions? Now, we didn't use it for persistent remote access. We were using it for one-off support maybe 12 or 13 years ago, setting up some of the VNC relay servers. We'd host a relay server that would then connect with VNC. I don't know the name of the tool that we used. It was really slick setup, and it was all for temporary access. But obviously, these are really, concerning here in 2021, because all products are being looked at. So when there's a flaw in a product, trust me, there is an automated system out there trying to exploit that flaw. So yes, definitely one of those things that you need to really wrap your mind around before you say, I'm just looking for something free and easy. Okay, but is it secure? I always start with, is it secure? All right, what's a good secure solution that is not unreasonably priced? So yeah, I'll make a video about the Pop! OS eventually. It's not on my to-do list right now. It won't be till probably next week sometime. I had too many other things to cover. I don't use too much Ansible. I use it here and there. It's not part of my daily workflow, but I like Ansible. It's great. What else do we have in here? We don't disclose all of our clients on there. More than one, less than 1 million. I actually don't know exactly how many clients we have. I think on the MSP side, there's like 40 companies that we're an MSP for, somewhere around there. I know because I had to look at some paperwork. I don't look at that side of it all the time. I do know, like from consulting, we booked a lot of businesses, over 300 businesses we booked last year. A lot of that's our consulting side, though. It varies a lot with how we do things. So it's not, it's, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right word. It's not, we're not huge as a company. I don't know. I don't even know what the scaling looks like on that. What do you use to create scripts, or does your RMM just have good enough PowerShell? We're fixing and maintaining Windows servers, not Linux servers. That's my day job here at Lawrence Systems. Is 99% of the servers we're maintaining are running Windows or desktops and servers. Most of our Windows, we're using PowerShell, and we use our RMM tool and PowerShell to set policies and change settings. So hopefully that makes sense. So how do we handle without a ticketing system? We moved to Freshdesk for ticketing, because ticketing finally got to the point where we needed to, before we just had everyone send us an email. We had them emailing a single email address, and then we would sort it out using Google Groups. And we finally decided to move to Freshdesk to make it easier. So Freshdesk is how we handle that. Best podcast listening client. I'm partial to Pocket Casts. So that Pocket Casts on Android has been my go-to. I've been using it for years. I bought the paid version of it. So I forget, it wasn't much. It was like, I don't know, $15 or whatever. It was a little bit at the time. I don't even know what they sell it for right now, but that's the one I've been using. You can also use the built-in Google one if you want. That one works pretty good too, as I understand. Just see. Anything else? Any other questions you have in here? I think I've covered them. So many of them are. Hey, that's the other one I was looking for. Mesh Central is that open source one out there. I have no idea whether or not it's secure or well audited. It seems like they were working on that. Security. So let's see. Look on that. Nope, I did not. Messenger security features guide. That's not helpful. At least bring a link up for it so people can take a look at it. It's a neat product. Freely manage your devices. It's like I said, download security YouTube public server login. It's a community-driven open source built on Node.js and freely available npm. You can get started with public server logon. I don't know about its, like, has it gone through? It has, like, the usual things. It's using proper cryptography and everything else. But it's not the cryptography that's the problem. It's how was it implemented? I don't know. Was it implemented well? Was it implemented poorly? These are what security audits do. So that I'm aware of, or at least that I'm seeing here. Let's see if it's in our blog. Branding, terminal details, signing. I don't know if it's gone through a thorough security audit. So use at your own risk. Hey, thank you very much, H Network, for the donation. It is much appreciated. Yes, we try to do as much as we can fixed pricing for our contracts. Because fixed pricing, narrow scope, everything else is billable. Not fixed pricing, everything's included contracts. They're fixed pricing and projects are billable, essentially. Yes, you can store your, you can use Bitwarden and actually store your MFA codes. The downside, of course, is now you've created a single point. So that can be, I don't do that. I keep my 2FA separate, but obviously there's some tediousness to doing that. It's a trade-off. The only thing I like about those attacks, SolarWinds, Kaseya, etc., is that MSPs start looking if apps they use are security audited. Yes, I've been trying to get more people to do it because there's certainly been a problem in that aspect. I still thank you very much for the bearded IT dad for the donation. Is much appreciated. But one of the problems really comes down to is I see this dumb argument where people are start staring at products completely based on how it can save them or make them some more money, and really kind of setting aside the security aspect. I mean, making money is something you have to do. That's why we're in business. I get it. But you have to keep things locked down and secure. If you don't do that, you're going to end up losing or being sued out of all the money you potentially would have made. So we don't run free PBX in a VM anymore. We moved it over to a piece of hardware, but we never had a problem with it. And we still have a test server in XCP-ng that seems to work perfectly fine. A few people told me they run it all the time in there. My testing has never had a problem in free PBX and XCP-ng. It seems to work. So yeah. And I know what you meant. So okay. I think you mistyped something, but I get what you're saying. Because of you, we use XCP-ng, which is wonderful, and are a full pop shop. Awesome. Good to hear. All right. Anything else? I think now I can actually wind it down. Hopefully all of you took some time to hit the like button, as that would be very helpful. I'm going to go reply to some messages, send us some emails, and I'm going to go home for the day. I think I've been here enough. Thank you very much for the donation. Much appreciated. Yeah, the donations do help out, folks. The oh, you know, that's kind of weird. I guess I have to do this. Share Chrome tab. The only way you can see the stickers when people send them, I guess, is when you do it this way. You can't see the stickers when I'm in Streamlabs. Oh well. So, all right, you can find me on Twitters and in the forums and at lortonsystems.com. If you have to reach out to me, Twitter is probably, I don't do tech support over Twitter, but for people that need to reach out to me for some reason, I'm occasionally on Discord, less much so, but occasionally. Definitely I respond in the forums. I'm there a couple times a day. I try not to go more than 24 hours without replying to requests on the forums. I'm pretty adamant about that. For those of you who don't know, I do sometimes just reply on my phone. So, which occasionally has led to me going back and editing because you don't realize what you typed on the phone is often. So hopefully though I'm not too crazy when I'm on there. Hey, thank you very much, Ryan, for it. So awesome. It's greatly appreciated, all the donations and everything else. So, all right. I think that's it. I'm yawning again. So I've been up since too early because I started my day early reading everything I can. Then I did, this is my second live stream today. And then also, I did a video in between, and somewhere in between I did get some work done, which I still have one more email to send because I have a quote on a storage server that is waiting on a send button for somewhere. I got to type some words around it too. And the person probably wants to know, I put the quote together, but I have a few questions for the client before I can just send it over about how they want this set up. But if it all goes well, maybe the storage server will pass through here for configuration, and maybe I'll do a review on it because it's a nice all solid state storage server design. So, but I've done some of those before. It'll be a true NAS build and lots of fun. All right, once again, easy to find. You know where all my links are, and thanks.